Yep.
Yep, no problems. All right. So in order to configure your credit forms, you're going to go directly to trading term settings, which is just under the credit forms area. Now, this is where you always start. So the trading term settings for this particular client, you'll see that my active trading term settings are 30 days and prepaid. And both of those are requiring a payment method of credit card or direct debit. And you'll see that here we've got the More button. And the More button allows you to add whatever information that you require as mandated for that particular application. All right, so you'll see that a 30-day customer, we require company address, delivery address, accounts person, delivery contact, personal guarantee, one trade reference, and a director. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take away that. I'm going to take away this, and I'm going to take away delivery address. And I'm just going to keep company address, accounts person, personal guarantee, and director. All right, then I'm going to save that. That means for a 30-day term, that's what I require. And for prepaid, obviously, it's going to be much less information required. I'm going to say I don't need personal guarantees, don't need directors, and I'm pretty comfortable with just the delivery address, accounts person, and delivery contact. All right. Great. So now we've got our trading term settings sorted. Then that will basically tell me everything I need to do from here on in. So the next thing we're going to do is credit limits.
Okay.
Now you'll see in credit limits, we've got the credit limit, the increments, and the increments means that when they're given up to $10,000, they can select 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. So $1,000 increments up to 10,000. And you'll see here business type, it says all, and trading term says all. What I might want to do is I might want to say, all right, I'm going to put a new credit limit in. And for the new credit limit, I'm only going to do $2,000 credit limit, and the increments can be 500. And the business types, I'm going to stick with all, and trading term is going to be payment on delivery. Now, or it's going to be prepaid, I believe. Prepaid. All right, now I'm going to save that. Now what that means is that for any customer that selects prepaid as their trading term, the maximum credit I will give them is 2,000.
Okay.
And here for any customer that selects, we're going to call this 30 days because that's what it says in the trading term settings that we've selected. So for any customer that selects 30 days, they're going to have up to 10,000. All right.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So these trading terms are being pulled from the inventory system.
Correct. So beforehand, we would have done the integration, which would have dragged those trading terms across.
Correct.
All righty. So you'll see the trading term settings here. I've got 30 days and prepaid as my two that I've got as active. And that lines up with the credit limits, which is, again, 30 days and prepaid, which I've set a credit limit for each. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set our terms and conditions. Now, you'll see here that there's a set of terms and conditions. These are my terms and conditions for all trading terms, it says here. But what I'm going to say is these are my terms and conditions for 30-day trading terms. All right, then I'm going to set my trading terms is going to be 30 days. So again, that's when a customer selects 30 days, they're going to be getting all this information as opposed to when they select prepaid. Now this one, I'm going to call it prepaid. These are my prepaid terms and conditions. And I'm going to save that. Okay, fantastic. So now we've got everything lining up. So we've got prepaid customers are going to be treated very separately to 30-day customers. Now, the last thing that we'll do is we'll design the credit forms. So you'll see here, there's a bunch of colors and fonts and that type of thing. So what we can do is you can set the colors and fonts, etc. And the way to be able to do that effectively, you go view your credit form. And this is the way it looks today, right now. But what you can do is you might say, okay, so the form steps, they're currently purple. What I really want to do is I want to make them black. All right. So I've made them just black, which is just a bunch of O's. And I'm going to save that. Now I'm going to click view your credit form again. And you'll see that it's changed those form steps to black. And that's how it will appear for the customer.
Yes.
Okay.
Got it.
So then we'll quickly do a run through of exactly what the customer sees. So a customer, they're going to enter their ABN, and they're going to hit search.
Yep.
Then it will automatically populate their company name and their trading name.
Yep.
Then they're going to select their industry type. This customer's a furniture customer, but they're a corporate. They're buying office furniture. The next step is that they'll need to select either a director or authorized representative.
Yep.
They'll enter their first name, last name, their email. Then what will happen is when they hit next, they'll receive a 6-digit code, which they will enter to verify their email address.
Okay.
The next step is the most important, which is selecting your trading term. For argument's sake, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the prepaid trading term, and you'll see that I've got only up to a maximum of $2,000 because that's what we suggested before. However, if I was to select 30-day trading term, you'll see I can enter up to $10,000 on that.
Okay.
Okay. But we're going to call this one prepaid for now. I'm going to enter my delivery address, my delivery contact name, the accounts person. Then I'm going to hit next.
What's an accounts person?
The accounts person. So we always include the accounts person. The reason being is that to be able to send invoices to customers, we always want their accounts person. So who is their bookkeeper or their accountant or their internal account staff. All right. So to send invoices, we always want that information. And that's probably one of the most important pieces of information that we recover. Now, you'll see here that we can either select credit card or direct debit as the payment method. And then we're going to hit next. The next step is for them to review. Yep. They're going to tick this box and submit. All righty. Now, once they've submitted, what's going to happen is from a supplier's perspective, and again, I'm going to look at this from a supplier's perspective right now. They're going to see this review and approve credit forms area, and they're going to see that 5 turn to a 6 if there's a new application. So then what I would do is I would go back to my applications that have been submitted, which are here. You'll see here, the status will either be no signature required or all signed. Okay. Now all signed means that they've signed a personal guarantee, and no signature required means that there is no personal guarantee requirement because it's a prepaid trading term.
Okay.
All righty. So then what we'll do is we're going to review. We do the review. We see that we've got all the required information. The credit card is there and the trading term's correct. Then how
do we ensure that the address, for example, they entered is right?
The address that they've entered is correct.
Yep.
So we can verify the email address is correct, but as far as the postal address, it's impossible to verify that that's the correct postal address. The one way you can do that is to Google the business and see what it says on their website as to where they're located.
So someone at the supplier side still needs to be checking all of that before approving a credit form application.
Well, the key things that they do need to be checking. So for a personal guarantee, so for a customer that is a 30-day customer, we always recommend getting a personal guarantee. Now, if you get a personal guarantee, the address that they've put down as the business address is really inconsequential because the personal guarantor is the one who's verifying themselves via email, but they're also the ones who are doing a proper signature and leaving their driver's license as identification. All right. Yep. And they're the ones who the liability sits with in the end. So to approve the customer, I've done my review. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about doing a credit check. Now, this will only be for 30-day customers usually. So I can select, I want to do a company and director check. We always encourage the client to do a director's check. The reason is we can track that director all the way back if they've been a director of other companies.
Okay. And this is we do for only the 30 days one.
So you can do it for any customer, but for a prepaid customer, I wouldn't bother because they're prepaying you before the stock's released. So doing a credit check for those customers is probably not worthwhile.
Right. So, okay.
So it's only a customer that you might have some level of credit risk with.
Yep. And how much time we get this report?
At the moment, it takes around about 10 minutes, but we're trying to get that down to 60 seconds.
Okay. So which means that if it's right now we need to wait for 10 minutes or until we get the report and then we need to approve.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll read the report, you'll have a look through it, and we can guide customers on exactly how to read those reports. They're quite long, and there's certain things that we think are more important than other things. So we can always give customers extra training on how to review and how to view those credit reports to ensure that they're looking at the right things.
Yeah, I've seen one myself. It's quite legal and it's quite long.
It is, but we identify 3 or 4 key areas that the customer should be looking at, and we get them to delve into that a bit further. All right.
Yep.
And then, but we've just done a review on this customer. They seem okay. So I can either approve them. So I just go to this little approve button here and I'll tick that and I'll confirm it. Alternatively, I can, if I'm not happy with them and how much they've applied for, just say a customer's applied for 10,000, but I'm only prepared to give them 5,000. I'll go reject and I'll change that 10,000 to 5,000 and I'll just approve that new credit limit. And what that means is that will be the credit limit that will be generated on the contract.
Okay.
So
you inform the customer beforehand that we are rejecting your application and then we are assigning a new credit limit. And
no, so they don't receive a rejection. They only receive a rejection if you flat out reject them as a customer. They'll receive the credit form approved. They won't receive a rejection for 10,000. They'll receive an approval for 5,000, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. So but we still need to inform them in advance that we are offering you a 5,000 credit limit.
Not so much. Well, they get informed immediately. So they get it. So because they've applied for 10 and we're only prepared to give them 5, we don't need to notify them before we approve it. We only need to notify them if they've asked for $1,000 and we're giving them $10,000. That's when we would need to notify them first. But if we're giving them less than what they've asked for, we don't need to notify them. We just approve it.
Okay.
It's only if, I mean, we would never do this, but offering them more than what they've asked for then you would need the customer to sign off on that.
Okay.
But they've already signed off on 10,000, so 5,000, they'll be happy. They have to just grin and bear that.
Okay. What if they're not happy with this?
If they're not happy with it, then they can talk to their supplier. That's really it's because it's the supplier that's the one doing the approvals at the end of the day. So it really is up to the supplier to negotiate that position with them. Most people that apply for credit are going to know how much they are approved for prior to applying, to be honest. So they're going to know that they have a standard $5,000 credit limit with this particular supplier. So that's what they're going to apply for. So I've never heard of an issue where someone's applied for 20, been given 10 and been upset with that.
Okay.
Yep. So then you just approve the credit limit. Then what happens is the customer data. So it triggers 2 things. The first thing it triggers is that the contracts will be generated and a PDF will be sent off to the customer with a signed and embedded signature if they've got a personal guarantee, or all of the terms and conditions, etc., if they don't. Mm-hmm. Now, the second thing that gets triggered is the entry into the various systems internally. So their instance of Xero, for example, as well as their inventory management system, will both receive that company file or company profile via direct API immediately. And that will appear inside of their Xero and inside of their either Unleashed or Deer in a matter of seconds. Mm-hmm. And that is really the end-to-end of how to get a customer all the way from, yes, I'm interested, to I'm signed up and in your systems.
Great.